Social models of disability. The medical model blames the person with the disability. It says the disabled person is the problem. The social model just flips that medical model and kind of turns it inside out, and it's basically the same thing except tries to be nicer, but it's still a problem. So I would prefer to change problem for challenges, because nobody wants to feel like a problem or a burden, and I personally don't want to think of the world or be mad at the world for not being perfectly accessible. So I don't want to think of the world as a problem or myself. So I would prefer to think of it as challenges that we have to work with constantly, and continuously finding ways of making it smooth and not so irritating, so to speak, on the person. So just to find a harmonious relationship with society, with other people, and with the environment that we have to navigate. Can you describe some of the challenges and barriers you have faced since becoming a wheelchair user? How do you think the ADA or CRPD have affected your life? Yes, definitely many challenges and barriers since becoming a wheelchair user about 7 years ago in a paragliding accident. I think ADA has affected my life. Yes, definitely, because it has given me access, although it's not fully compliant here in Hawaii. Somehow the county inspectors are not, I think they neglect their job sometimes. I don't know how they approve some buildings that have ramps that are so out of specifications as ADA calls for. CRPD I wasn't familiar with. I just started reading about it a little bit, but here ADA applies and ADA is good enough. The problem is not enforcing ADA. What has been the hardest thing to do or navigate since becoming a wheelchair user? Medical coverage, care, housing, social inclusion, income, employment, education, etc. Medical coverage and care, I feel like I've been well taken care of ever since I got injured. Haven't had a problem with that. Housing, I haven't received any social housing. Social inclusion, haven't had a problem with that. Income and employment has been a major problem for me because I used to be a construction guy. I used to be very physical, very hands-on, mechanic, construction, and since I got injured, I've been going to school, trying to start a new career, and that has been very challenging, not only financially, but also personally, and just a pretty hard change in lifestyle, really. So I challenges all the time. What would you describe as the single largest barrier to self-determination or equality that persons with disabilities face overall, and what recommendations do you have to help alleviate this barrier? Well, I would say the largest barrier to self-determination is, well, maybe self-determination. And the largest barrier to equality, I don't know really. Equality, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really have an issue with equality. What recommendations to help alleviate this barrier? Stronger self-determination, I guess. What would help you feel just as included and normal in society as you used to feel? Um, that's a good one. I do like to feel normal. Dealing with a disability is 24/7, so I personally don't like to be reminded of it all the time. And oftentimes people feel like just because you're in a wheelchair, you're sort of like public property, and they approach me with all kinds of random comments. Sometimes like nice wheelchair, or sometimes like, oh, I was in a wheelchair once, or they tell me how they've suffered a number of illnesses, or they start asking me about what happened to me, or just I would prefer just have a normal conversation that doesn't necessarily have to be about disability. Oh, okay, yeah, one more. What differences do you see in your birth country or other places you had lived in the U.S. regarding disability rights, restrictions, attitudes, assistance, accessibility, etc.? So yeah, I was born in Colombia, and I've been back there since I've been disabled, and it's a little more challenging over there because their version of ADA standards is not as old as it is in the US, so they're taking more time to catch up. Although all new buildings and any type of new construction, they're strict about ADA, so it's getting better. However, the culture, the people, they look at me very weird. They stare at me when I roll down the mall or down the street. It's like, I guess they don't see that many people in wheelchairs or something. I don't know, but it feels kind of weird. As far as Hawaii is not very compliant with ADA standards as compared to California per se. I don't know why. It seems like county inspectors don't, they neglect inspecting and permitting compliance with ADA. What else? I think that's it. Cheers.